Simmer Storians. Welcome back to the exciting world of New Whitby. So we are here with the Jung family, and I'm just gonna take a second. God, why do I keep doing this? I apparently, oh God, that's kind of terrifying. Don't know how to use matches. All right, so we are at the Jung household. Of course, here's my little vintage candle. And we have quite a lot to do today. So last time we were at the Jung household, we actually did have a wedding between our heir, Peter, and of course, Peter is the son of Edmund and Emma, who has not been with us for many rotations. And so Peter and Lydia Holloway are actually now married, and Lydia is in the very first trimester of her first pregnancy. So we will be having generation 4 happening this episode, which is so exciting. And also I just wanted to show you a little bit about Lydia's little pregnancy bump. It's still very tiny, but it is prevalent. And so Peter, as some of you guys have noticed, has been taking an interest in the alcohols. So we actually have our first pub in town. This is Old Hattie Clark's, and it's named after Molly Clark's mother. So the Clarks recently opened this. This is the first time I think we're actually seeing it in the challenge, and so I thought it would be actually quite perfect to send Peter and his father Edmund here just to kind of have a drink, let off some steam. Peter will be a father very soon, and he's a little bit stressed out about it, so I thought this would be a nice way to get him out of the house. And of course, we've got our bartenders. We also have a few Lawsons here, and oddly enough, we actually have the parson hanging out as well. The parson is good friends with Edmund, and so he spends most of the time here chatting with Edmund and just kind of keeping tabs on the town. And Peter here is really enjoying the bar. He's also a little bit like, you can see that he's a bit flustered, a little bit like feeling down. Peter has really struggled with his mental health for a lot of his life. If you remember, he actually was a child throwing a ton of tantrums while he was growing up. And of course, that probably had to do with the fact that he lost his mother at such an early age. Of course, Emma died in childbirth, so he never knew his mom. And Lee made a really good home for him. He grew up treating Lee as his mother, but it's still not quite the same. We also have, this is I think Harrison Lawson and Ernest King. It's fun to see all these Sims out in the wild, and he grew up so attractive. I'm like such a fan of Ernest. He's a little bit soft and sweet, but I don't know what he's going to be like in his adult, because I feel like Daisy's kind of taken up a lot of our time. And so next time we're at the King household, I expect that we will be spending a little bit more time with Ernest. And Harrison here actually just got home from university. So Edmund is really pleased. Of course, last episode, they did get Cedric Cunningham to create this beautiful portrait of the newlywed couples to go above their fire mantle. We've also popped into the second trimester, and Lydia is starting to show her pregnancy a lot more. This dress does look a little bit silly with the pregnancy, but I mean, it's fine. She's also becoming pretty good friends with her father-in-law, which is really lovely to see, because Edmund has had a bit of a hard time as well. He, after the loss of his first wife, he was throwing a lot of fits. He was sobbing and fighting people, like a lot of fighting people. But that has calmed down. He's really mellowed in his old age. We also have Lee here as an elder as well. We've given her a little bit of a makeover. I just wanted something a little bit more simple for her haircut. But it's really nice to see these two just like having fun, enjoying themselves, having a little dance. Sorry, my cat was banging on the wall because cat stuff. And I thought it would be time to spend some time at the vineyard, because we haven't actually seen the vineyard a whole lot, especially since we had our harvest festival. It's probably about time for us to have another harvest festival. So if you guys want that, let me know in the comments below. I had a lot of fun with the last harvest fest. And we've got little Aldous Lee Jung, Yeah, his middle name is Lee. We have eldest Lee hanging out working at the cash register because his older brother Peter is not doing any work. So I sent the three gentlemen in the household to do some work here, and Peter is drinking a lot of wine and not being particularly useful. We have Birdie here to support the business, picking up some wine for his family, as we saw a little bit in the vignette. So Della, if you don't remember, is actually Bertram's wife, and they've got their first child together, which is so exciting. And for some reason, Peter isn't greeting him as well. There's some animosity in the household because they recently lost Mary Jung, and there's a bit of a political snafu happening between Birdie and the investigation for the fire at the house. So some of the family is still in contact with Birdie, and some of the family is a little bit hesitant, especially since the Jungs don't exactly have the best reputation in town. But it's nice to see that Birdie and Edmund are still fairly close. And we have Lee here painting. Oh my god, I'm going to keep calling her Lee. Her name is Faye. This is Faye, not Lee. Lee is her mother. Faye, of course, is spending so much of her time painting. She's been really inspired by Cedric and wants to learn it herself. And we actually have Peter, asking for some fatherly advice because in the next day or so, he will be having his first child. And it's nice to see these two actually getting along. Edmund's giving him some good advice about how to be a father, how to be a good father, because I feel like Edmund learned a lot about what not to do while he raised his first son, and that really negatively affected Peter. So I'm hoping that Peter will be a better father than, he was fathered himself. And we also have the ladies in the meantime enjoying some time together, a little separate from the men, just having lunch together. And it's so funny to see Faye with her sister-in-law. She'll be aging up into an adult this episode, so we will see a little bit more about Faye's personality, about what she'll be doing in her life. And it is baby time, Generation 4 in the Jung household. I can't believe we're already on Generation 4. I say that like we haven't had 30 episodes. All right, so we're gonna choose random. Okay, we have at least 2 babies. I really hope it's not quads. Okay, cool. We have twins, so it's a boy and a girl. So exciting. And she's, of course, having the babies in the smallest room in the entire house, which is one of the bedrooms that can only fit 2 beds and essentially nothing else. And so here we go. It's time for baby number 2. And there we are. Oh, it's so good to see. We haven't had twins in a while, I feel like, in one of the main households. That's not true. We had Lilith and Prudence. So we have Charles Oliver and Evelyn Lottie. So we have little twins, Charles and Evelyn. I think they're so cute. Unfortunately, the mortality rolls did not exactly go in our favor, and we lose little Charles immediately after birth. We're going to say he was a bit of a stillbirth, didn't really survive the birthing process. And so thankfully we did have twins and we didn't lose both of the babies. So I actually decide, the family's in a little bit of mourning. They've had a really hard time losing so many people in the family. They lost Jonah, they lost Mary, they lost some of Mary's grandkids, Mary's daughter. So we need some church time in this family to really kind of process. And look at how big this cemetery is getting. It's so bad. We've lost so many Sims in this town. But that's just kind of how it goes because it's the 19th century. And we actually haven't really redecorated the church since I think it was Cornelius's wedding. But guys, Daisy, stop flirting with Septimus in the church. This is not good. This is not where you should be flirting. So we do have a little service honoring our poor little late Charles. And we actually have a lot of the town here to show up. So this is actually really fantastic. Because I have the religion mod, it determines who can and cannot actually show up at your religious sites. And because I have this set as a religious site for St. Philip's Church, the only Sims who will appear are those who are also part of the church, which is so cool because it's kind of like it takes a lot of the pressure off of me for spawning everyone on the lot. So we have a ton of Sims here supporting the Jungs, which is really nice to see. I think although there is some negativity surrounding the Jungs in town, you know, they are members of St. Philip's Parish, and all of the parish members are here to support their family members in St. Philip's. So we do see some of the prices here, the Harveys. We've got just a little bit of everyone here, which is really, really nice to see, showing their support for the family. Thankfully, the kids are doing okay. We've also got a nun here, the sister who is part of the church, and Ernest is becoming a little bit popular among the ladies. So a lot of the girls in town, especially little Lilith Price here, the redhead, are very interested in him. And meanwhile, Peter is, he's sitting alone because his wife Lydia had to stay home with their daughter Evelyn. Lydia wasn't really feeling up for going to the church and really engaging in social interactions because she's in mourning. She's also still recovering from her birth, and birthing twins is it's an ordeal. And Lilith here is really, really interested in a lot of the gentlemen in town. I think she is ready a little bit early to make her debut. Septimus, you're interested in Daisy. Stop doing that. Oh my god, these Sims have too much autonomy and they're making me lose my mind a little bit. Faye is really taking it hard about losing her little nephew. She's very sensitive. I really love Faye. She's really sweet. She's very sensitive. She takes her family very seriously, which is nice to see. She's technically a knowledge sim, but she's really into family. I feel like she has a secondary aspiration of family. It's very important to her. And here's little Evelyn. She looks, I think, a lot like her father as opposed to Lydia, and these two autonomously decide that it is time for another baby. It's nice to see them actually start to sort of recover from the trauma of their last pregnancy. Meanwhile, these two are really cute siblings. I think Aldous has noticed that Faye is really struggling with the loss of Charles and has been playing with her quite a lot. It's really cute. They have such a good sibling relationship, which is so nice to see because neither of them really had that relationship with Peter, because Peter honestly has some attachment issues after the death of his mother, and he's been taking it out in alcohol, not necessarily in exactly a good way to handle it. But Lydia has started to recover from the loss of Charles. She is not struggling with postpartum depression, which is so nice to see. We kind of expected her to struggle a little bit more emotionally after the loss of their firstborn heir. So Charles would have been the heir, but he's not going to be the heir anymore, unfortunately, because we, lost him. So hopefully the next pregnancy we have in this family will be a little boy. So, all right, I got my cup of tea here. Our cat knocked it off the counter and, shattered the handle, so thanks, Ari. You're the best. So it is early the next morning, and Faye is getting ready with her mother because Cedric Cunningham has actually called on Faye. She really wasn't expecting this. He was just here a few days ago making their painting, and he noticed how excited that Faye was about painting. They were chatting quite a bit about the process, about how to learn painting, and Faye expressed that she was interested in learning a little bit more. So Cedric has come to call on her. He is really respectful of her interest in painting, as he is the town painter, and just kind of wanted to chat a little bit about it. It's not necessarily a romantic calling, at least not in his eyes. He is just kind of he doesn't have any proteges in town, and he was a little bit inspired by the way Faye had taken an interest in his work. So he wanted to call on her and have a nice little chat about the process of painting. He's very serious about art, but he's also part of the intellectual salon. So he's not exactly part of proper society. The intellectual salon in town is very, very inspired by like Byron and Shelley, and the way that they would get absolutely blasted drunk and engage in proper shenanigans until late in the night with a bunch of other friends. So it wouldn't be a great match for Faye, but it is the Jungs. So he actually wanted to give her some paints and a little easel that he had in storage just to kind of help her get started, because he knows they do have an easel at the house, but he just wanted to gift her something to help inspire her to paint more. So he's telling her that she's done a really good job learning about painting already and like teaching herself the basics. So he wants to tell her that like anytime she needs help, like send him a letter, and he's happy to come give her some advice. But Faye, as we noticed a few episodes ago, has a little bit of a girlish crush on him, and so she is so excited by the attention. She really wasn't expecting him to like call on her and gift her things. So I think that Faye might take this in a little bit of a different direction than maybe Cedric had expected, because she's got a bit of a crush on him, and she, you know, it was not unusual for men who were calling on women to bring them gifts. So this feels very much like courtship, and as I said, it's not exactly the best match, but the Jungs don't really have the place to, you know, refuse anyone at the moment, because they've got a lot of gossip going around town about them. Like, they have not had a good relationship with town gossip. He's actually spending most of the day at the Jung household because he is called back later to celebrate some birthdays with everyone in the household. So we actually have 2 birthdays today. The first one is little Evelyn, and the second is actually Faye's adult birthday. So here we have Evelyn is going to age up first. As you might have noticed, I actually age up all of my Sims one day before their actual birthday. This is the way that I've played since I was a child. Is it a little bit impatient? Yes. But because it's the way that I've always played, it's kind of hard to actually break the habit and like age them up like on their actual birthdays. So if that bothers you, I'm sorry. It's just going to be the way that I am. So here is little Evelyn. I think she looks so much like her dad. She's got her dad's nose, her dad's eyes. It's so cute. I love her. I'm really hoping that the next baby also looks like Lydia a little bit more though, because it does look quite a lot like Peter. So now it is Faye's birthday. We can see all of her favorite people in the house. She's got her sister-in-law, her brother Aldous, and of course Cedric. And so she's really excited that Cedric's been here for most of her birthday today. It's really been a good day. And of course, I mean, Cedric knew that her birthday was today. He was invited. He's a bit of a friend of the family after he helped out with the portrait. And so he knew it was her birthday and he was going to bring her a gift either way. But she didn't really, comprehend that it was actually a birthday gift. She thought it was kind of like a courtship gift. So here she is. I wanted to, give her a bit of a sensible, calm, muted outfit. I think it looks perfect on her. I'm pretty sure this dress is from Jackie Sims. Ugh, Jackie. Thank you. Just thank you for everything that you do. You probably don't watch this, but I'm obsessed with your content. And it is actually the first trimester of Lydia's second baby. Can you believe it? 2 babies in 1 episode. I'm so happy for her. Lydia was a little bit of inspired by Anne of Green Gables, because if you remember, she grew up with the 2 braids and just looked so cute. And of course, I couldn't get rid of her braids entirely, and I tried to keep that vibe with her. But she is not near as mischievous as Anne of Green Gables. So here's their cute little daughter, Evelyn, actually playing in the front nursery. So we finally have some kiddos to use the front nursery for, which is really nice to see. I'm excited for little Evelyn to have a little sibling as well. Faye here is, of course, doing a little bit of daydreaming, but after all of the birthdays, we actually have to convene the town council. So we do have our mayor here, Cornelius, and all of the town council. You might notice something a little bit different, and that is because Benjamin Holloway, who was representing the Holloway family in the council, passed away last episode at his anniversary party. So on the left up here, we have Edgar Holloway, which is his grandson. Yeah, this is his son. So Edgar is newly instated into the town council, and you can see that Bertie is here. Bertie is not part of the town council, but it's actually Bertie's hearing about what's going on with Mary and the fire from Mary's house. So some people, and here is her son, Hugh Patrick. This is the only remaining son after the devastating fire that took out essentially all of Mary's family. And Hugh is quite determined that Bertram is at fault for the fire because he was witnessed stealing a newspaper while the fire was happening and not actually doing any help, which would have been expected of someone who was walking by and noticed a devastating fire. He didn't call for any help, and he didn't help at all. So they're having a bit of a chat about it, and ultimately they decide that there isn't enough evidence to support the fact that Bertram caused the fire, which is essentially what he was being accused of by Hugh Patrick. So they decide to let him go. They'll keep an eye on things in town, but they have no evidence to prove that he is at fault. So you can also see that we actually do have some other people in the town hall. Mrs. Avery and Edmund aren't exactly getting along because Edmund is really frustrated. He's here to support his brother, and he's really, really frustrated because Mrs. Avery thinks that he's guilty, but it is what it is. So we do see Edmund hanging out with some of the Sims in town and just trying to distract himself from waiting to hear the verdict. And the verdict is of course good. We have some Sims come out to tell him hey, Bertie's good. No arrests are happening now, which is really good because we don't actually have a town jail yet. So I guess I need to actually make that soon, especially because we're going to have some sort of unsavory things happening in town because there are some poison mods and some opium mods that we've downloaded. Oh, things got PG really quickly. So it is time for Lydia's third birth? Yeah, this is technically her third birth since she had twins. So it's only going to be one baby this time, which is such a relief. And it's a little boy. So we actually do have the heir born today. His mortality rolls went swimmingly, so he's going to be okay, which is such a relief. So we're going to name him Willard Irving. So this is our little Jung heir. I think he actually looks a lot like both of his parents. This is one of the new skin tones as well. And although Lee is not his biological grandmother, she raised Peter as one of her own, and of course is going to raise his children as her own grandkids as well. And she is just the most doting family sim. I love her. So that is going to be all for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I will see you next time, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.